the Kashi Vidvat Parishad, a body of 500 topmost scholars of Banaras, they honored him with the degree of Jagat Guru when he was only 34 years of age on 14 January 1957. This tradition of Jagat Guru, it's as old as ever since Lord Krishna was on this earth. He's been referred to as Jagat Guru. But after him, the very first Jagat Guru has been Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharya. Now, because there are so many people who talk about religion and they may not necessarily have the right knowledge. So what happens is, ordinary people in the world, they get confused and they don't get the right guidance. So it was decided that whenever possible, a saint would be selected, one who would have complete authority of all the scriptures. He would be appointed as a teacher who would be a teacher for everyone. Jagat Guru means world teacher, teacher of the world. You could say that this degree of Jagat Guru could in some sense be compared to the Pope of Rome. He's the head of the Christian state. In the same way, Jagat Guru. But as I referred to you on the very first day, that the philosophy that Sri Maharajji propounds, it is applicable to everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, country, sect, religion. All the truths that he expresses, they are all universal. The examples, of course, may be traced to Sanatan Dharma or Hindu scriptures, but we have to pay more attention to the lesson, the truth behind the example, because it's not necessary that everybody must have heard the examples. But the important thing is the truth behind it, and these truths are universal. Therefore, Jagat Guru, Sri Maharajji as Jagat Guru, his philosophy, everyone can relate to it if they listen to it carefully. So, Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharya was the first original Jagat Guru in the age of Kali Yuga, 500 years back. After that, we have Jagat Guru Ramanujacharya, Jagat Guru Nimbarkacharya, and lastly, Jagat Guru Madhavacharya was appointed about 700 years back. After 700 years, Sri Maharajji, my spiritual master, had been given this degree of Jagat Guru. Now, millions of people are watching him and listening to him through television, and thousands of letters keep coming in, and people now, they write and say that they've never heard such spiritual wisdom before this. And it is for the first time that all their doubts have been cleared. Some of them even go to the extent of suggesting that all those so-called authorities who talk about spirituality, they should come to Sri Maharajji and learn the actual meaning of the scriptures from him. So I was saying the Vedas are the authority, and we have to find out what they say about knowing God. We have been waiting so long. Let's hear. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na vedasaha avigyatam vijanatam vigyata mavijanatam Kenopnishad. Number 2, 3. What is it saying? It says, one who thinks God can be known, there is no one as ignorant as he is. Don't tell me. After all this time that we've been waiting to know God, and these same scriptures are telling us that he cannot be known. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam tvam vetha brahmano rupam Kenopnishad 2:1. One who thinks that God can be understood, he has understood nothing. In other words, God is beyond our comprehension. A Western philosopher, F.H. Jacobi, also said, God whom we can understand would be no God. What a paradox. We seem to be at a dead end. On the one hand, one after the other, these scriptures are telling us, know God, you need to know Him. Only then you can attain Him. And the same scriptures are telling us, you cannot know Him. The Ramayana says, Jane binu na hoi paratiti, binu paratiti hoi nahi priti. Look, you need to know God, because knowledge leads to faith, and faith leads to love, and attainment follows naturally. Now, if we cannot know God, then how will we have faith? And if we cannot have faith, then we will not have love. And if there is no love, we will not attain God. So how do we go about it? It's very necessary to know God because, as you know, the steps of faith, love, and attainment follow simultaneously. So knowing God is going to lead to faith, which is the most important factor on the spiritual path. Without faith, we stand nowhere. Let me give you an example of this sequence of knowing followed by faith, acceptance, love, and attainment. A holy man happened to knock at somebody's door, and it was opened by the servant of the house because there was nobody else at home. And he said to the servant, I'm hungry. If you give me a meal, food to eat, then I'll give you something really nice I have as a gift. The owner of the house was not at home, he was at work. The servant thought, to give food to somebody, a holy man, is good charity. So I'll give him food, but tell me what you have to give me. The holy man said, you see, I have this stone. This is called a paras. Paras means touchstone. So I can give this to you. I just want food to eat. Now the servant was ignorant. He had absolutely no knowledge about what a paras is, a touchstone. A paras, you know, of course it no longer exists. But it's that, it's called philosopher's stone, it's called a touchstone. It can change anything iron into gold by mere touch. Servant didn't know at all. When he looked at this stone, he found it pretty attractive. It was nice and shining. And the name Paras, it sounded good as well. He didn't mind taking the gift. And he fed this holy man. Man left. He thought, what am I going to do with this stone? I'll give it to my boss. He'll be happy. So in the evening, when the boss came home, he put it right in front on the table where the boss would have his everyday cup of tea, and he was waiting for a reaction. He's going to smile, he's going to be happy, and he'll ask me where it's from. Boss came home, and when he saw the stone on the table, instead of being happy, he was angry. Why you put the stone over here? It's not a stone. You know what happened today? A holy man came asking for food. He was hungry. And I fed him. He gifted me this. He said it's a paras. You fool. You took his bluff for that. How can a holy man give you a paras? He was a beggar. If he had a paras, he wouldn't be begging for food. He picked up the stone and angrily threw it. See, he didn't know what it was. So there was no acceptance. There was no acceptance. There was no love. And the reaction was, he threw the stone. He wanted the stone to go out of the window, but his aim was not very good. It hit the latch of the window, and the color changed to gold. He couldn't believe his eyes. He rubbed his eyes, look again. He went to the window. Aha, it actually looks true. He tried to find all the iron bits in the house, and 1, 2, 3, 4, everything changed into gold. He became absolutely crazy, dancing like a madman. I'm going to be the richest man in the world now. I don't need to work anymore. I'm going to go to the railway line, and change the railway track into gold. And my country is never going to experience any poverty. His mind was reeling, just thinking of what's going to happen now. I've got this touchstone. He securely locked the stone which he had thrown out. He securely locked it in the cupboard now. So you see, the man is the same, his eyes are the same, the stone is the same. Till he did not know, he did not accept, he didn't have any feelings for it at all. Now that he knows, it is actually a paras, acceptance and love immediately follows. He doesn't have to keep telling himself, meditating and chanting, yes, this is a touchstone, yes, this is a touchstone, I must remember this is a touchstone, it is changed iron things into... He doesn't have to do anything. The moment he knows, everything follows immediately. Same thing applies to the spiritual side. The moment we know we have the right knowledge of God, faith, acceptance, love and attainment, they follow simultaneously. And as I said, faith is a very important thing. Asti tevopalabdhasya tattva bhava prasidati. Asti tevopalabdhasya tattva bhavena chobhayo. The Veda says that one who has faith, he attains God. The Bible says, we walk by faith, not by sight. The great poet Tennyson, he said, by faith and faith alone embrace, believing where we cannot prove. So faith is a very, very powerful force. In fact, it is even said that if you have faith as big as a mustard seed, a mustard seed, how small it is? If you have faith as big as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. That's how powerful faith is. I'll tell you an interesting story of faith. It's a lesson for us as well, because due to the ego of our education, our wealth, our status, belief doesn't come to us. Faith doesn't come to us very easily. There was this priest who had been serving in a temple for almost 40 years. And he had a little boy, about 8 years, who would help him around in his service in the temple. It so happened that the priest had a very important job to do. He had to go back home. And he said to this little boy, he said, you've been watching me worshipping every day. I have to go for a month now. And I want you to watch me carefully today as well, so that you know what to do. It's just going to be 1 month. And you have to worship here in the temple exactly as I do. And remember, you must offer food to all of these deities here. And after you have offered food to them, then you can eat. I'm going to leave some provisions. He bought whatever was needed for a month, stacked it up for the boy, and he said, you don't need to worry at all. Just do the same thing every day. Now this little boy, he didn't even know how to cook properly. But well, he had to do it. He'd just been watching, never actually cooked himself. So he cooked the first day when he cooked, half the food was raw, uncooked. Anyway, He served it in plates and placed it in front of Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva, Lord Ram, all of them, because temples usually have all the different forms of the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being is only one, but he can have so many forms. And so he placed a plate before all of them and waited and waited, and nobody ate. How could those deities of marble eat? But this boy sat waiting. And he thought, I think they are feeling a bit lonely because the priest has left and they've been so used to having him around. They're feeling lonely. Doesn't matter. They'll probably eat tomorrow. The next day, again he cooked and he served. No one ate. Come on, why don't you all eat? After all, the priest is going to come back in a month. It's not that he's gone forever. And if you don't eat, what's going to happen? You're going to feel weak. You won't be able to move about. He was actually speaking to God like this, just as we speak to each other, the innocence of this little boy. But yet, nobody ate. And on the 8th day, this boy could no longer move. He had to cook. And he hadn't eaten for 8 days. And he again pleaded to them, please eat. Why do you want to starve me to death? And then he started getting angry. When you're hungry, you tend to be angry. Decide what was right. What he did was, there used to be a big, long stick there, which the priest used to use to chase away cows that came. He took the stick and he went in front of Lord Shiva. If you don't eat, I'm going to hit you on your head. And what happened? Lord Shiva thought, I don't want to be beaten today. This poor boy is going to die of hunger. I better come. I shouldn't be so cruel. And he started eating. And when Lord Shiva started eating, the rest of them followed. Lord Ganesha, Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, all of them, they ate. And the food got over. The poor boy had to cook again. Anyway, now he got the trick. I know how to feed them now. Every day, morning, evening, he'd keep the stick ready over there. And what happened was, in a week, all the provisions got over because they were eating. What do I do now? I have to feed them. I'll go to the grocer's nearby because that's where the priest buys the provisions. And he said to him, look, I think the priest has miscalculated and he hasn't left enough of provisions. Can you give me some provisions for 2 weeks more? And I'll make sure that you're paid back. I'll tell the priest. The grocer didn't mind because the temple was next door. He'd done it before. And the boy bought more provisions. And after a month, when the priest came back, is everything fine? Yes, absolutely fine. It's been brilliant. Have you been doing your job properly? Of course I have been. But there's been one problem. What was the problem? The provisions you left, they finished in a week. Your gods eat so much. What could I do? So I had to borrow some. What are you talking? Nonsense. You're being cheeky? I know you must have gone and sold them to make money. I left enough provisions for nearly 1.5 months. Please believe me, I promise you. I would cook and feed them every day and they ate. Believe me. They ate? Yes, of course they ate. The priest thought that this boy is bluffing. He said, okay, this evening you cook and offer food and I'm going to watch. The boy cooked. He placed the plates before God and the priest hid himself to watch. The boy could see them eating properly the way he used to see them every day, but the priest didn't. He only saw food coming out of the plate and disappearing into thin air. He couldn't see. Why? Because he didn't have faith. But at least he could see that the food was going out of the plate and vanishing, and he realized that he had never had the faith. Whenever he offered food, it was only an act, just putting it in front. He totally believed that no one would ever eat. That's the way many of us offer food. We believe nobody eats, we just keep it there, and go back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and get back the food. So the priest realized, I've spent 40 years serving and I did not have this faith and belief. And he fell at the feet of this little boy and he said, you are my guru. You have taught me. So that's all we need on the spiritual path. We need faith. Innocence of faith. And as I said, as we grow up, we lose this innocence. And what grows within us? Ego, pride. Even a little word. We get upset. If somebody says, get out of here, get out of here. What did the person say to you? He asked me to get out. But don't we go out of the gate every day? He just told you to get out, right? Go out of the gate. We do go out. We don't stay at home all day. No, the way he said it, get out. I can't take that. That's why faith doesn't come so easily to us. But anyway, we were saying that knowledge is followed by faith. And here the scriptures are telling us we cannot know God. Now, if we cannot know Him, then how can we have faith, love, or how can we attain Him? And at the same time, the scriptures tell us you must know Him. Now, we have to find out why we cannot know God. We will talk about that tomorrow. Now, if someone asks you, what did you hear in the talk today? You were going to be told about knowing God. What did you know about God? Well, all I knew is that I cannot know God. That's all I know from today's talk. So I think I wasted my time today. Wasted your time? No. This knowledge which you got today, that you cannot know God, even this knowledge is a very, very big knowledge. It's not a waste of time, and you will know that it is a knowledge, but in the following lectures after this. Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki.